Love is everything. What does that mean? Why is love sometimes considered the most valuable thing in our society? Well, before we get to that, what is the thing that we value most in our society? Oh, that's right. It's fucking money. Who would have thought? This is what our entire society revolves around. This is the objective and sole purpose we as a collective have of our everyday waking existence is to get money. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, we spend a large chunk of our day dedicated to making money. Now, I personally think that society spends too much time dedicated to making money, but that's not really the purpose of this video. In this video, I just want to talk about how money is the highest value versus love. And I think the phrase love is everything means that love is the most important and valuable thing. But in our society, we think money is everything. You know, you always hear people talking about, oh, without money, you can't have a life. Without money, you can't do this. You can't go have experiences with your friends. You can't feed yourself. You can't buy shelter, etc. So, because of that, we have money as our highest value, and we say money is everything. But honestly, I just don't agree with this. I don't think money is the most important thing. I don't think it's everything. And I mean, sure, it's definitely important and necessary to have resources in order to survive. And we definitely need a system to trade resources so that we can be more efficient, which is what money is. But putting money as the highest value creates so many problems. For starters, I think one thing that is super messed up is that we choose money over health. Many people will just neglect their health entirely just for the sake of making money. I mean, you see this all the time. People will be sick or have an injured body part, but just because they have to make money, they still work regardless instead of being in recovery where they should actually be. This isn't good, and I mean, it doesn't take a lot of common sense to come to that realization. Health is essential to living a fulfilling life. You can have all the money in the world, but if your health isn't great, then you're not going to be able to enjoy the fruits of life at all. I think another con on top of that is that money creates greediness. Now, greediness is a part of being human, but I think the system that we have right now kind of incentivizes people to be even more greedy than they already are at nature. I mean, just think about it. Now, the whole objective, the whole point of society is to stack your money, aka your resources, to the max. I think this just creates so much greed. I mean, think about all the billionaires we have in our society that keeps all that money to themselves, which, by the way, it's completely unnecessary. They keep it just for greediness sake. Not only that, but most of the money in our society belongs to 1% of the population. So the money is not even evenly distributed. Not only does this create greed between the lower classes, but the most greed is in the upper classes where most of the money is controlled. So you can see that money clearly creates greed because all the money is stacked to the top. Also, not only that, even though money gives you an objective, like something to work on, money in itself isn't inherently meaningful. Like, it doesn't necessarily give meaning to your life. Money inherently in itself is kind of meaningless. It's just a piece of paper that we arbitrarily all decide that that's what we trade with. It can't answer the ultimate and grand old question, what is the meaning of life? And I think meaning to life is essential for an enjoyable life, especially nowadays where so many people find their lives meaningless. I mean, no wonder. Our sole objective is just to make money. And unfortunately, there are many people who work and find their jobs completely meaningless. And keep in mind that your job takes up most of your time. I mean, it's going to be 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, probably 40-hour full time work week. And therefore, most of your time is going to be dedicated to something that is completely meaningless, unless you're one of the lucky ones that actually find meaning in your work. I think mentally and spiritually, this is just terrible. It's not good for anybody's well being, especially when it dictates so much of your life. And that's not even including the commute and all the other chores we spend in our day. Now, of course, you could argue there is meaning because the whole point of working it is to survive. But I still think many people work jobs that are inherently meaningless within itself. Unless you consider making a CEO richer and more powerful while he pays the lower workers minimum wage, unless you consider that meaningful, then. And I mean, just think about it, like, money is seen as power, meaning that we value money, aka like domination, over life itself. If it means willing to fuck over other people, like the people that the CEOs pay minimum wage to, just for their own sake, they're going to make that choice and choose the more greedy route. They're going to choose themselves over other people's lives every day. Now, there's many more cons to having money as the highest value, but that's just to name a few. But really, I think love should be the highest value. I believe that love is everything. Now, what do I mean by love exactly? Now, I'm not just talking about romantic love here. I'm talking about all types of love. friendship, family, your job, hobbies, activities, interests, animals, humanity, you name it. Basically, everything that you can love. Now, all those loves are distinct, but I think they're connected and encompassed into one big love. Now, this one big love that I'm talking about, I believe, is very spiritual. Something that you cannot see with the eyes, and is connected to something much larger than ourselves. I think you can call this love agape love, which in Christian theology says is the unconditional love God has for humanity. Now, I believe God is the entire universe, so I think of it as the entire universe has an inherent, unconditional love for humanity and the world, which to me that means that the universe's fundamental nature is love. I also think this profound unconditional love within itself is meaningful. Sure, you could still question its meaning, but when you feel a profound sense of love, there's no need to explain its meaning. You can feel and intuitively know it is deeply meaningful, even if you can't explain why. And this one big love that encompasses all of them, I believe that its nature is that it dissolves boundary and it connects everything to each other. Now, what exactly do I mean by that? Well, let's say, for example, you're meeting a stranger for the first time. When you're meeting a stranger, there's usually boundaries that are there. Like you wouldn't just treat them like a friend and do whatever you would do to a friend to a stranger. But as we get to know the stranger, as we get to know the person, the boundaries between me and them dissolve and we start to connect. Instead of seeing them as a separate self, I start to see them as one with me. Usually, when we hang out with people or with others, we lose our sense of self. And this doesn't only happen with humans too, but with animals as well. As you get to know an animal more, the boundaries also dissolve. You no longer identify the animal as something other, but you know it as a part of yourself, as a friend almost. You are no longer scared of the animal, but you actually enjoy spending time with it and want to take care of it. And again, this is just like in human relationships. And I believe this is like this with anything. With an activity, for example, if you are in love with an activity, you become one with the activity and you get into this flow state where you lose your sense of self and you just become one with the thing. I think this deeply profound aspect of love that unites is what is missing in our current world and why everything is so divided nowadays. This is one of the reasons why I think love should be the highest value, because it is a principle that can unite us all and ultimately allow us to live in harmony with each other. If we see ourselves as separate, then we're not going to want to take care of each other, just like the animal example I gave. If we have money valued over love, then we're going to start to see each other as separate selves, not connected or a part of each other, and therefore makes us scared of each other and makes us go against each other. In addition, I think people intuitively know deep down that love is the most valuable thing, the most important thing in life. I mean, just think about it. What good will all the money be in the world if we had no one to share it with? This shared experience is something we humans deeply value, and it is love that allows these experiences to be shared. If we had no one to share our stories with, or no one to share experiences with, then what's the point? There comes a sense of meaninglessness when there's nothing to share with another in one's life. I believe the true wealth in life is the amount of love a person has in their life. And again, this doesn't only include relationships, but it also includes activities or love for your career as well. Now, I think another reason love is so important is because love is all about connection. And again, I'm not just talking about relationships, but I'm talking about essentially everything: objects, activities, yourself, the world, etc. A natural need that we humans have is to connect. When we are disconnected from life, that's when we feel our worst. That's when loneliness comes, depression, anxiety, and all the other negative emotions you can think of. But when we are connected, we feel our best. This is because the truth is, we aren't separate from the world and each other. We are deeply connected to everything in the universe. So being connected means we are living aligned with this truth. We are living in harmony with nature. And being disconnected means you're living against this truth and therefore against nature, in disharmony. And Mother Nature is always going to win if you're fighting against it. Nature is extremely powerful, and one could say infinitely powerful. So a tiny fragile human isn't comparable to nature. So it's best to live in accordance with the universe and the laws of the universe. For example, if you neglected the law of gravity, you would just jump off a building and kill yourself. But since we're fully aware of the law of gravity, we decide to take the elevators or stairs instead. Likewise, this goes with the deep truth of us being all connected to everything. If we don't recognize this truth and live in accordance with it, then there's going to be bad consequences and potentially an unfulfilling life. And just to clarify, the truth I'm talking about is that ultimately we are deeply connected to the whole universe. We are not separate from it. You could say that we're one with the universe, meaning that we are the universe. I mention this because I believe love is the force that ultimately connects us and makes us one with the universe. This realization is important because nowadays, for example, people can identify with their nation and not identify with other nations. This singular identity with only their nation is what ultimately causes war.
Because if they realized that we are just one earth, however you want to put it, they would therefore see the other nation as themselves. And if that was the case, they wouldn't go to war with the other nation, just like you wouldn't just go and hurt yourself. So there's many profound implications, and this is why this deep truth is so important.
So overall, that's why I think love is everything and why it should be placed on a higher value than money. We must remember this deep truth because we've all forgotten it. We've all been so caught up in our heads and in fear and living so fast and, in the rat race that we just have lost consciousness and awareness of this truth. We must be aware of this again so we can all live better lives. Society right now is so spiritually deprived, and so we're not connected to this truth. Once we connect to this truth and become fully aware of it, only then can we become spiritually rich and not just materialistically rich. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.